Yeah. So listen, what was it with the tornado warnings? What was
Yeah,
going on?
we had several tornado warnings, which was like unlikely for Florida today, but it was just kept raining and raining
Especially
and
this
raining.
time of year.
Yeah, we were shocked that we had several
Let me ask
tornado
you a
warnings.
question.
We
Has
had
the weather been warm?
It's been a little bit, but then it got a little bit chilly, and we had tornado warnings all throughout, and then they turned into watches. But I mean, it was raining crazy. The
The
weather
whole
was
state or just your like in the area?
just our little central area of Florida. It was crazy.
Yeah. So you're in
But
Central Florida.
yes, hmm
Yeah, Wesley Chapel's in Central. It's
yes.
near. Give me like how far you're from like Kissimmee?
It's about 2 or 3 hours up, but we're
Oh,
like
so
about
that's different. Okay.
it's about
Well,
20 minutes from Tampa.
will I will is that where is that how close you are? 20
Yes,
minutes from Tampa?
yes,
I
uh-huh.
know exactly where you're at because I've been to
hmm
Tampa.
Yes,
I've been to Tampa, St. Pete, St.
yeah.
Petersburg.
Yeah, it's about an hour, 2 hours away, an hour and a half away from there, but it's closer to Tampa. Is where
Okay.
we're closer by, and we were
Okay.
just like they said, no, we don't have to hide in the hallway or stand in the hallway, but just be
Yeah.
prepared. We're like, oh goodness gracious.
Well, I tell you what. You want to go live?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Let's do a show tonight.
Let's do
We
it.
can sit here and just bullshit with each other.
Exactly, but we haven't showed it to.
I think it's more fun to do a show. Let's do a show.
Yes.
The following program may contain mature subject matter. Your discretion is advised. The following interviews are for entertainment purposes only and not meant to reflect any conclusion of truth from its guests or host. These interviews are for your entertainment and are not meant to merit any social commentary. Thank you. It's Thursday night, and that means only one thing, Amelia.
What's the buzz time?
It's What's the Buzz time. Hello, everybody. It's 4 p.m. in Los Angeles, 6 o'clock in Chicago, Illinois, and 7 p.m. here in New York City. I'm your host on this Thursday night, Mad Dog DeFeo, joined as I am each and every week by Her Holiness, Her Rolliness, the mouth of the South, Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. How you doing, kid?
Doing good. Good.
I heard
Stay
you
dry
guys
today.
had crazy weather today. What the hell's
Yep.
going on in Florida?
I have no idea. Those tornado warnings and that rain came out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
Man, you don't get tornado warnings in December, and
Yeah.
especially where you are in
Yeah.
Central Florida. It's like, I could see maybe like on the coast where, like
hmm
Tampa, St. Pete,
hmm
maybe even up in the peninsula the panhandle up in
Right.
Pensacola, that area,
hmm
you know, but not like, where you are, because it's
Yeah.
traditionally, it doesn't really get that cold or
Right.
that warm. I should say that warm in December.
Yeah. I think the
It doesn't really get real cold. Has it been cold there?
the lowest it's been so far would be like 58 so far, the low, and then 70 is the high,
That's like
basically.
a heat wave. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I
58
know, right?
for me, it's a heat wave.
I know. It's like it's gonna
58.
get any colder or something because
People
I'm
here
used to
will
colder
kill you
weather.
for 58-degree weather. You
I
shitting
know. I'm
me?
used to Texas weather where it gets like a low, like 20s and stuff like that.
It gets like the Arctic Circle over here, like
Yeah.
like
hmm
Alaska, where Melissa lives. Melissa is a friend of ours. She hosted a couple shows with us, but you know, she couldn't handle the heat here in the kitchen, in Hell's Kitchen. Speaking of Hell's Kitchen, thank you, Chef Gordon Ramsay,
hmm
for finally finally opening Hell's Kitchen Atlantic City. We have a Hell's Kitchen in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
40 minutes from my house. It's beautiful. This isn't that, but we got it. I'm going to take Anita there one night.
Wow.
I think I'm going to surprise her. Unless she's watching the show, then it's not a surprise anymore.
Then it's April Fool's Day today. What's the
yeah, right? Wink, wink. Yeah, I know, right?
Right? Yep.
So listen, tonight, Amelia.
Yes.
We are going to explore. Oh, by the way, before we,
Yes.
just let me address this right off the top. Before we get into what we're going to explore tonight, Courtney Katona is not here tonight. She had some things to do. We wish her well in her future endeavors, but Courtney will not be with us. Just Amelia and myself. So, look, you got the Beauty and the Beast tonight, okay? The Mad Dog and the Pit Bull.
Right.
So, here is what we are going to explore tonight. A lot of stuff here.
And if you watched part 1, wow. It opened my eyes.
We got a lot of reaction on part 1, too. A lot of people liked what we did on part 1.
It opened a lot of people's eyes, I tell you.
The Amityville House of Horrors. This has been, man, oh man, this has been a lot. Let me just back up for a little bit. It's been a point of contention. It's been a sore spot for a lot of people. It's been the source of a lot of controversy for people because, especially now, almost 50 years later, we're still talking about this place like it's yesterday's news. We're talking about something that happened like 50 years ago.
Yes.
Ronald DeFeo Jr., the man who committed the atrocities at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, he died last year at the age of 69. And he died believing that he had nothing to do with this, that he said spirits took over and spoke to his head. I think we have, at least for our point, for the work that Amelia and I have done, I think I can say, and Amelia, correct me if I'm wrong, please. I think I can safely say that there were no spooks or specters involved in Ronald DeFeo's atrocities. Let's just call it, massacre. Let's just call it what it is.
It was a massacre.
Massacre of his family. Yeah, for real.
Yes.
So, but there are people today, even today, Amelia, there are still people who believe that guy had spirit-filled voices in his head telling him what to do. Now, we've explored that angle. I think that we're pretty intelligent people here. I still can't figure out why nothing happened before and nothing happened after. Why did it only happen then? And why was it only him?
Right.
I think the answers were clear to us when we investigated this. He was the only one in the house that was a drug user. He was the only one in the house that was an alcoholic. He was not the only one in the house, however, that was sexually abused. Hate to say it, I gotta say it, folks. I'm going to get in trouble for this, but Ronald DeFeo Sr., the dad, and Mrs. DeFeo, the mom, the both of them sexually abused all of their children. Now, I'm not saying this to demonize the parents. I'm saying it because it's true. There's enough victims here, okay? We have 6 dead victims. And Ronald DeFeo's a victim too. He's a victim of alcohol abuse, sexual abuse, and drug abuse.
And mental, I believe, as well.
Yeah, and mental abuse. He's a victim, but he's also the perpetrator.
Yes.
And you can be the victim and the perpetrator. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hear tonight how that's possible. We have via videotape Dr. Tim Grande, Timothy Todd Grande. He is a doctor of psychiatry. He is not with us in the studio. He is with us on videotape. And so I want to give Dr. Grande a shout out. I'm going to put his name up there. Dr. Tim Grande talks Amityville House. And we're going to hear from him tonight. So when we left off, Amelia,
Mm-hmm.
on Tuesday night, I think we started off with more questions than answers.
Yes.
By the end of that first episode, I think we were equal in answers and questions.
Mm-hmm.
Are there questions that you still have regarding 112 Ocean Avenue at Amityville, New York?
Well, I believe that the question would be is a lot of people went to investigate and they didn't still find anything, correct? Nothing in the house that would
No. And that's a real good point. That's a really, really good point.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. The only people who said that there was something supernatural afloating
Mm-hmm.
was George and Kathleen Lutz. They are the family that moved in after the DeFeo family was killed, after Ronald DeFeo was tried, convicted, and jailed. After all of that, along comes George and Kathleen Lutz, two people with not the greatest backgrounds in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, they have. I'm going to be kind because they're dead. I will say that they don't have the greatest credibility in the world. Let's put it that way. Especially George Lutz. Certainly not the best credibility. You're going to find out why in a few minutes. And throughout this evening. Because tonight, I think we're really going to focus tonight on the Lutz family, the book, and the movies.
Yes.
We're going to talk a lot about the book, the movies, and the Lutz family. And why, what would cause a person to perpetrate I'll just call it what it is, to perpetrate a fraud.
Exactly.
On the
That's what
American
I
people.
was going to name it.
I'm trying to be kind here
Mm-hmm.
because they're gone and there's no one to speak on their behalf. And the only living person that can speak on their behalf has real credibility issues of his own, and that's Daniel Lutz,
Right.
who is steeped in trouble.
Yes.
Really steeped in trouble.
And writing books about the same thing, just trying to make money on a house that
and he's trying to cash in on the house. He claims, and this I have to hold my face when this because I get a headache.
Yes.
When I think when I think about Daniel Lutz, I get a headache because here's the thing. Follow me, folks, because I'm not making any of this up.
He's not. Trust me.
Daniel Lutz, Amelia, tell me if I'm lying.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Lutz wrote a book blaming the Amityville horrors for his life being fucked up.
Yes.
Okay, just call it spade a spade.
Yeah.
Now he's trying to write another book. I guess he ran out of money.
Yes.
You're going to hear what Dr. Timothy Todd Grande says about George and Kathleen Lutz. I think the son learned from the father.
Yes, he did.
Because when you run out of money, what do? You make a tall tale. You tell the story. Yeah. You get people to listen. What did we say before, Amelia, about rumors?
That rumors tend to just get bigger and bigger, and people try to make believe the rumor, basically.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly. If
And
the rumor gets big enough, people
Mhm.
believe it.
and guess what he's trying to say now about that the
Oh yeah, tell
house
everybody. Go ahead, please.
the house is still to this day making him not be able to sleep. It's not
You can't
letting
make
him
this up.
sleep, and he's
He
probably
hasn't lived in this house since he was a little boy.
Mhm.
He's not a young guy. He's like
no
50, 58, 59.
yes,
He's pushing 60.
Mhm.
This guy, he might be over 60. I don't know.
and that's what
But
he's
he was
saying.
just a
No,
little boy. How
Yeah.
old is he?
he's in his late 50s. I do know that.
Yeah, like 58, 59 is what I
And
heard.
that's what he's saying now, that the house is not still to this day not letting him sleep. No,
He
I don't
hasn't
believe it.
lived in this house since he was 6 years old, 7 years old. That was 50 years ago.
Exactly.
So he's every bit of 58, 59 years old. At least
Yes.
that old.
Yeah.
So
And
now don't tell me that
Mm-mm.
a house that you lived in when you were 7 or 8 years old is still now haunting your head. Okay, I think that what's haunting your head is that you can't find a job and you got no money.
Exactly.
I think that's the problem, Daniel.
And it's
I think
called
that's the problem.
finding a therapist to help you with something like that. It's
Yeah,
called
look,
therapy.
we got a great guy on the show tonight. His name is
Yeah.
Dr. Tim Todd Grande.
Yeah.
Okay, look, hey, call Dr. Grande. You
Yeah.
can find him everywhere.
Yeah,
He's on
and
the
there
internet.
and there's
Look up
places
his
that
phone number.
yeah, there's places that are called clinics that will help you with therapy, and if you don't have insurance, they
Exactly.
will go with you with pay whatever you have, self-pay, and if not,
Yep.
they will help you do a payment arrangements that are really good clinics.
Absolutely. Let's do this. Let's take care of this. Okay, so we know, and we talked about this before.
Yes.
Let's give everybody, before we even do this tonight, before I go to this paper,
Okay.
I want to go and just kind of give everybody, Amelia, a little, like a refresher course, okay?
Yes.
This is what happened in Amityville, okay? This is what happened.
Viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
These are gruesome scenes. I'm sorry, folks, but this is what happened. I have to show it. By the way, Amelia, as we're watching this, it reminded me to tell everybody something after this slideshow, after this film, I should say, after this film is concluded. I found out something that was not revealed before.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a picture of everyone together right there.
Yeah.
And they're all on their stomachs.
Well, that's important.
And
that's
important. The mother.
Yeah, that's Mrs. DeFeo.
And that's a picture of father and son.
That's Ron DeFeo Sr. and Jr. By the way, as we're talking about that, you see that picture on the wall? That was the one you just saw.
Yes.
I want you to notice what they're doing. Tell everybody what they're doing in that picture.
They're smiling. They're happy.
What are they
putting
doing?
Something together?
What are they doing? Look, what's in his hand?
It looks like a doorknob.
Alcohol.
Alcohol. Oh,
it's
my goodness.
Alcohol. He's drinking.
He's drinking with his own son.
Watch.
Okay, there's the
There's a
closer
bottle
there's
of
the
whiskey
close-up.
in his hand.
Ah, no wonder they're so happy.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the son learned to drink from the father.
How old do you think he's there? Like at least 18 years old, the son?
Oh,
Probably
no. He's every
20.
bit of 23, 24 in this picture. He's every bit of 23, 24. Yeah. Don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
He grew a full beard, but he looked a lot older than he was. He
Mm-hmm.
looked about 30 in this picture,
Mm-hmm.
but he
But he was
wasn't. He
real,
was
real
only
young.
about 20.
Okay.
I'm going to say my best guesstimate based on what I know about the case.
Mm-hmm.
The top age he could be right here is 25.
25.
I'm
Okay.
going to say 24, but tops 25.
25. Okay.
Okay. Now his father is about 56, maybe 57 in this picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he was only less than 60 when he died.
Yes.
We could find out how old he actually was.
Okay. That's so sad right there. That's all the caskets in a row right there. Of the families.
Yep. The whole town came out to see them. Yeah, and I thought about that picture. I got to look at this picture again.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Because at first I was like looking at that. What were they
No,
celebrating?
you were looking at their face. I wanted you to look at their hands.
Yeah, and all of a sudden,
Ron DeFeo Jr. He's holding a glass in his hand, and the father's pouring him a drink.
And of all the pictures that the family could hang on the wall, that one of all pictures that's weird.
I want you to think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I mean,
that he of all the pictures to put on the wall, he put a picture of him and his son having a drink together.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah, then if they work together, supposedly father and son, they could put a picture of them working together on a car.
Well, I think
like
if they're going to put pictures of themselves on the wall of the house, okay, you could put dress up in like a nice shirt and tie, or like
plan something together.
Try to clean yourself a little bit,
right?
Maybe clean yourself up a little bit.
A holiday picture, birthday picture, not
but you and your father, pouring. Maybe I don't know what he was celebrating, or what. If maybe they would just felt like taking here. We're going to have a drink together. Take a picture. Right. I don't know. Crazy. Let's take a look at. Well, before we do that, because I promised you I was going to read this 15 minutes ago. I'm still holding it.
Oh, we had to show those. We had to show that again because we had to tell people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
About
so
last
we were talking about the book.
Show.
Now let me give you the backstory here. Okay. So we know the Lutz family moved in 1975.
Correct.
In fact, it was this week.
Oh,
they
really?
moved in this week. Like 49 years ago this week. I think the actual date was yesterday.
Wow.
Okay. I'm not even kidding. Okay. Go check it out. If you think I'm lying, go check it out. It was 49 years ago yesterday.
And the show was meant to be,
that the Lutz family moved in. Now, again, you can't make this up. We talked about this Tuesday. George and Kathleen Lutz, they both owned their own house. Okay. So they decided to sell their houses and buy a house together. Okay. A couple of problems. First of all, George and Kathleen Lutz didn't have a whole lot of upfront money for the house because George's business was failing and he was in debt up to his asshole in debt. Okay. Really seriously in debt. He owed a lot of people. So all the money that he made from selling their houses went to pay off debtors, and that was just some of the debtors. Okay. It cost them $80,000. Listen,
Wow.
I'm thinking about this and I'm shaking
I'm
my
so
head.
like that with that amount. It's just like
We talked. How about that? Was that crazy?
yes, too
How much
crazy.
did the house originally sell for?
Is it
Tell everybody.
315,000?
Over $300,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amelia's right. 300,000 plus.
Mhm.
315, 320. All right.
That they got the house out of steel, folks. And I
That's
hate to
what
use that
Ron
word.
DeFeo Sr. paid for it.
Yeah.
Over $300,000, almost
Mhm.
315,000. Okay. In 1970, that's what he paid for it.
Mhm.
When you see the house, you'll understand why.
It's a
It's
beautiful,
huge.
beautiful home.
Huge.
Beautiful home.
Okay. In a very wealthy neighborhood with its own boathouse, with its own boat dock, with a pool house, with a guest house, with a tennis court, and a courtyard.
Beautiful, beautiful home. Oh my gosh.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. You give me that house now.
Oh.
Haunted or not, give me that fucking house right now. I'll take it.
Right?
By the way, the house today is going for $935,000.
Wow.
I'm not even go on Zillow. Go on Zillow.com. Type in 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York.
Oh, so they went back to the original address instead of 108?
Well, it fluctuates. It all depends on who lists it.
Okay.
The legal, here's the thing.
Mhm.
The legal address is 112.
Mhm.
One of the families that moved in afterwards, called the Reynolds family, they moved in. They had so many people showing up to take pictures and visiting and blah, 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 right?
Mhm.
They said, can we change the address of the house from 112 to 108? It didn't matter because people who knew the house knew where it was. You could change the address, but guess what? It's still 112 Ocean Avenue. Legally, it's 112 Ocean Avenue.
Right.
Okay?
And they can't put a big fence up where it sits, right? Because they won't even.
No.
Yeah.
When you see the house, you'll understand why.
Yeah. And that's the sad part about it. It takes away from the whole house.
And here's the thing, Amelia, and that's a good
Mhm.
point that you bring up.
Mhm.
If they put a fence up around that house,
Mhm.
the value of that house will
Just
plummet
disintegrate.
in half.
Yeah.
In half.
That's just so sad. A beautiful
You'll
home.
go from 930 for almost $1 million. Okay. You'll go from
Oh, wow.
935,000
Mhm.
down to 400 grand in a heartbeat. You know?
Well, let's go put that fence up. Right? So we can get that house.
Somebody is
Tell
saying hi,
somebody.
Ange, in the
I
so,
believe
who are you, user? It says Facebook user. Who are you? Is that
think-
Diane? Is that our
um
friend Diane joining us? We'll
I'm
find
not
out in a moment.
sure.
Let me tell everybody about this. I'm going to read this to everybody. So I'm bringing all of this up, and Amelia and I are setting the foundation here.
Mhm.
The Lutz family moves in around this time, yesterday, Christmas time in 1975. And they're living high off the hog. And they're enjoying themselves, and they're they're feeling like they're rich because they got this huge house. They stole it for $80,000. Okay.
Oh, yes.
And they actually less than that because the bank gave them the money
Mhm.
and they never paid it back, by the way.
Nope.
They lived there for a month mortgage free. Okay. And they never did pay on it. Let me tell you how much money they made off of this house. Okay. You're going to shit yourself when you find out. They, along with their lawyer, cut a book deal with Ronald DeFeo. Okay. They cut a book deal with him. Ronald DeFeo wanted a nice chunk of change for his story. They said, fuck you. We're going to keep it all. We don't need your story then. We'll make our own story, is what they said. Okay. Now listen to this one. Jay Anson and the family lawyer of the Lutz family sat down with George Lutz, and they came up with this idea. Let's have a couple glasses of wine and let's throw around some ideas. Okay? Let me tell you what they did. Jay Anson's 1977 book, The Amityville Horror, was based on the purported events of Ronald DeFeo and stories that they concocted over a few bottles of wine. Okay? It also served as the foundation for other books that followed and many movies, up to some lists have it as many as 20 movies.
Wow.
We know that there were 9 for sure. And they're absolutely right. There are actually more than 20. It's like 24 movies were made on the Amityville. Okay. Anson's book used 45 hours, Amelia.
Wow.
Family interviews as a basis. What did I tell everybody on Tuesday? They interviewed George and Kathleen Lutz and the family, okay? Even the children.
Yes.
Not one time, not one fucking time did George Lutz say, I'm into the paranormal and the occult. Not once.
Not once.
Why? That's important. You're going to find out why. Because as I said, they used these recordings as the basis for the book.
Right.
And nowhere in the book does it say anything about George Lutz's involvement in the paranormal or the occult.
No.
Okay. One of the Lutz kids, Christopher Quarantino, who was adopted, go figure, the Lutz family adopted an Italian baby, right? Confirmed that the hauntings happened. Okay. Later found out that he was making it all up.
Yes, they did.
However, he also said that the events were exaggerated by his stepfather, George Lutz. So he even contradicted himself. He said they happened, but then we also made it up. Well, which is it? Is it true or is it false?
Yeah.
It can't be true and false.
And which one is it? Which story is it true?
Yeah,
if
it's
you
either a
did make
true
it up?
story or it's bullshit that you made up, right, Amelia?
Yes. And
All right.
even the priests, they said that the priest even said, change the story like 3 different times.
Well, let me say this to you. Ultimately, the house remains just that, a house. It's changed hands for decades. I mean, decades. For almost 50 years. 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York, has changed houses at least 30 times. 30, you hear me right?
30 times.
30 times
Wow.
that we know of. Okay? Understand this. The attorney, whose name was James Weber, said that James Weber was DeFeo's attorney. He said that the haunting was all a hoax. He said, this is DeFeo's, Ron DeFeo's lawyer. Talk about throwing your client under the bus.
Right. It's like, wait a minute, I got something to say here.
He said it was all a hoax. And it was all perpetrated on the idea of making money from a book deal, from a movie deal. But the DeFeos never got the movie deal and the book deal. The Lutz family did.
That's why he said that it was all
Here's
a hoax.
the reason why they got the book deal and the movie deal. Because they had a couple of old people come into their house. Who were they, Amelia?
They were, let's see, I'm trying to think of their names. Oh, goodness, I just
You
saw
know who they are.
from The Conjuring. Yeah. It was
Ed and Lorraine.
Lauren, yeah. Ed and Lorraine. Oh, goodness, I can't think of their name right now. Warren,
The
thank
Warren.
you.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
So-called ghost hunters. So-called investigators. Let me tell you who Ed and Lorraine Warren were. They were nothing. They were 2 nice old people. That's all they were.
Yeah.
And they took that story and they became multi-millionaires
Yes.
from doing absolutely fucking nothing.
Mhm.
Fucking nothing. They did.
Yeah, and she
Okay?
said that she would. She
Smart,
felt.
two smart old
Mhm.
people that were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and she said something about she'll never go into that house again because she felt something so
We're going to
bad.
get
And
that. We're going to get to that in a minute. Hold on a
yeah,
sec. Hold on. Don't get ahead of the story
no.
here, kid.
But
No,
a lot of the time, people like that have to say certain things, to help people.
oh yeah.
But
Well, you're going to
yeah,
find out why. You
hmm
know,
hmm
you're going to find out why. Here's the problem. Despite its appeal, after the Lutz family moved out, the house went into foreclosure. Nobody ever paid on this house. The bank took it back. It was next owned by James and Barbara Cromarty. I guess
I
that's how
couldn't
you say
pronounce
it.
her last name either.
Yeah, who changed the address from James and Barbara Cromarty, James Reynolds and Barbara Cromarty, the owners of that. Thank you very much. Who changed the owners of Riverhead Raceway, who purchased the house and changed it from 112 Ocean Avenue, petitioned the town of Amityville to change it to 108 Ocean Avenue,
Mhm.
hoping to stave off stalkers and passers-by and gawkers.
Mhm.
They tried to live there. They lived there for about a year, and just short of a year.
Mhm.
Nobody really lasted long there.
Did they change the color of the house at that time?
It went
When?
from cobalt blue to white.
Okay.
You're going to see pictures of it tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. After an uneventful decade with its walls, it's a house sold to Peter and Jean O'Neill in 1987. The O'Neills sold it for $310 to a guy named Brian Wilson, not Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys.
I thought that was him.
No.
Beach Boys.
Most recently,
Mm-hmm.
in 2017, the house sold for $605,000.
What? 605,000?
605,000 in 2017.
Wow.
Now, remember we talked about the look-alike house in New Jersey.
Yes, the one that had the
Okay.
chimney on the side of the house. Yes.
Batten your hatches down. Listen to this shit.
Mm-hmm.
As for the New Jersey home
Mm-hmm.
that was used for the double of the
Mhm.
Amityville house, it was put on the market in 2011 for $1.45 million,
Wow.
and then sold for $1.35 million.
Is it because it looked like the Amityville house, or just because in the area that it
Because
was
it was
at?
used in the movie. That's why.
Wow.
That's why it sold for more. Because they didn't use the Amityville house in the movie. They used the New Jersey house in the movie.
Did that house experience any activity after or during the
Good
movie?
question. I'm going to tell you that right now. Here you go. When Odalis Farsago, and that's Italian name, when Odalis Farsago put the house and put the 1920 structure on the market, she was immediately asked, "Is it haunted?" She explained that ghosts had nothing to do with the sale, and she was merely divorcing her husband. So that's your answer. No, there were no ghosts. There were no ghost reportings, no ghost stories. The woman who sold her house said, "My husband and I are divorcing. He's going his way, and I'm going my way, and neither one of us want this house, so we're going to sell it." So they sold the house and they split the money.
So basically, it was just like a even trade, a house, and we were happy here for a while, and that was it.
That was it. It was you know what it was? It was a beautiful house that a lot of people got to live in basically for free, because the house went into foreclosure. It basically made no money. That house today hasn't turned a dime in profit. The bank made all the money, not the house.
Yeah, it's just such
You
a
know?
beautiful home that nobody's going to be able to cherish and live in and love. And
Let's
the
take a
house.
look at you. Talk about a beautiful home, Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at this, kid.
Yes.
We're going to do show and tell. Your favorite thing.
Yay!
There you go.
Oh, then and now, the Amityville house. Then and now.
Now, let me I forgot to tell everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This video presentation is divvied up into two parts. The old house first, and then the same house renovated.
Yeah, they show linoleum flooring in the beginning.
It's the same house. It's exactly the same house, but you're going to see what it looked like during the murders and what it looked like after they renovated it. So that I want to be sure that everybody understands that this is the same house. So here you go. Look at all that old furniture.
Wow, the small TVs. Remember those?
Look at that, look at that TV, right?
Portable TVs. Oh, that rug.
Yeah.
Oh, paneling. Remember paneling? Paneling, wallpaper. The stairs. The chandelier is beautiful.
That's called gaudy Italian wallpaper.
Oh, wow.
Now, I can say this because I'm Italian. The old Italians off the boat from Italy, they love gaudy shit. The gaudier, the better.
That chandelier is beautiful.
Like that stupid chandelier that nobody would have in their house today.
Not anymore today, but it was beautiful back then, though.
You're looking at red wallpaper. By the way, red textured wallpaper.
Textured wallpaper.
With a gold chandelier with gold trimmed mirrors. There's a lot of gold in this house.
A lot of gold chairs.
That was a way of showing off your wealth. And the old Italian people love to do that. They love to show off how much money they got. Here you go. What do you see there, Emil?
Let's see. That's one of the windows that looks like the eye.
That's all I wanted you to say. That's one of the windows. The so-called evil eye windows.
Evil eye window.
By the way, just so you know, in the whole history of the Amityville house, not one single person, not one, ever said that there were eyes looking out the windows. Never. Not one. That was completely bullshit made up by the movie. That was just for special effect. That never happened. Look at that wallpaper.
Oh, wow.
How's that for a kitchen?
That's an old kitchen.
An old breakfast nook.
Yeah. With the booth. I remember those.
Yeah, with a booth, remember? Look at that.
Linoleum floors, yeah.
Remember that color hot pink?
Yes. It was everywhere. And then the telephone against the wall. Rotary phone.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Rotary phones.
Yep. To this day,
A kid looking at this is going to say, hey, what's that hanging on the wall there?
Okay, make a phone call with this.
That used to be a telephone.
Oh, look at that. Wallpaper.
Yeah.
Oh, here is
We're going to take a look at Amityville now.
Oh,
now, wait till you see this. Big difference. Wait till you see this. It's crazy. Look at that.
Whoa. That's open. Wow. That's
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my God, the curtain.
If you want it, I can get it for you. $935.
Right? Wooden floors now, no more linoleum. Oh, look at the kitchen, the countertop. Oh my God, that's clean. Fire place now? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wooden posts upstairs as well.
They got rid of that gaudy wall, and then they got nice wallpaper now.
Oh, absolutely. The staircase is all just wooden
That's
stairs
the
now?
foyer. Yeah, there's the boathouse.
Oh, wow.
I want people to understand something. We're talking about a house here that has a frigging boathouse. You understand what I'm saying here?
Hmm.
There's a boathouse here.
Yeah.
And they have their own boat dock
Yes.
and their own boat slip.
And the boat has a boathouse.
And the boat, and it's not a big boat either.
No, but it has its own little house.
It has its own house. And they have a pool
A
house
separate house. Yes.
and a guest house. But the fucking boat has its own house, okay?
Yes. Mhm.
Check it out. Watch this.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
here you go, Amelia. Look.
Yeah, the house,
You
the
see what they
windows.
did to the windows?
Yeah, it's just a regular
Oh,
square windows now. Look at
yeah,
that.
they put them square windows in.
Mhm. With the
I
shutters on the
think, let me
side.
tell you something. I think when they put those square windows in,
Hmm.
I think they killed the whole house.
Yeah.
I really do. I really, really do. I am
Does-
convinced. I'm serious too. I am convinced that if they put those,
I think they call French windows, I believe.
no, they're called
No?
half moon. They're called half moon
Half-moon.
windows.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, they're called half moon
I
windows.
think it gave character to the house the other way
It
they had on
really,
before.
and that's what I'm getting at. It gave
Mhm.
character to the house.
It did.
It also gave the house curb appeal. It
Mhm.
looked different.
It did.
Now it looks like any other house in the neighborhood.
Especially the white color.
Check it
which
out.
is- oh, wow.
Right?
The
This is
ceramic
the
floors.
yeah.
Oh, the
That was
counters.
called the atrium, by the way.
Oh, look at this. Look at
That
that.
was called. Let me show you. Take a look at this
Yes.
this room.
Look
It
at
was
that.
called the atrium. If you
Oh,
look in
it's
there,
beautiful.
it's got a ceiling fan,
Mhm.
and all of those doors open up onto the courtyard. I want you
Wow.
to notice when you look out those windows, you can
Mhm.
see the 4-car garage.
Mhm.
Okay, 2 cars on one side, 2 cars on the other side. That's a
That's
4-car
beautiful.
garage we're talking about.
That is
Next to the
beautiful.
garage, look at it.
Mhm.
There's the pool house. I'm sorry, not the
Mhm.
guest house.
The
The
pool
pool
house.
house.
Mhm.
Okay. The guest
That
house is on the other side of the garage. You can see it through the window.
that's
You have to
beautiful.
really look, but it's there. You can see it.
Mhm.
You know, as you're watching the video, do it like we're doing. Just stop the video and look.
Mhm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, they took the whole kitchen out and put like a brand new kitchen in.
Wait a minute. I'll tell you something surprising.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah, you ain't seen nothing. This house, Amelia,
Mhm.
you saw the kitchen?
Yes.
You saw the different
Mhm.
kitchens in there?
Mhm.
This house has 3 kitchens.
3 kitchens?
It's got 2 kitchens on the main level and one upstairs.
Wow.
Yeah. It's got a kitchen upstairs on the 2nd floor.
Wow. I would never leave the second
And
floor.
it's got a separate dining room upstairs too.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Watch
I
it.
never have to leave the the second floor.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely.
I just like I'm gonna stay up here for the rest of the day.
Yeah, for real. Exactly right.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the Amityville house then and now.
Mm. What a
A
beautiful
lot
house
of
this
people
is.
have asked about, the authenticity of the house.
Mhm.
There's a doctor named Dr. Timothy Todd Grande, who we have here on video. Dr. Grande is an interesting guy because he did an in-depth study of the Amityville house. He also did a very, very interesting video that you're more than welcome to watch it. We're not going to discuss it here because it's too much in depth. On Ed and Lorraine Warren, he did an entire hour-long video on the Warren family. It was a family, it was Ed and Lorraine, just the two of them. I want you to spend about the next 5 minutes with me, Amelia.
Okay.
And I want you to listen carefully and take notes if you need to, because this is really important. This is Dr. Timothy Todd Grande, psychiatrist. Listen to him.
Briefly take a look at what happened in this house. In the early morning hours of November 13, 1974, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. used a rifle to kill his 2 parents and his 4 siblings. DeFeo would eventually be found guilty on 6 counts of second-degree murder and given 6 consecutive life sentences. The crime had nothing to do with supernatural forces. Some mental health professionals said that DeFeo had antisocial personality disorder. Others said he was hearing voices. But either way, no one said that ghosts were involved. George and Kathleen Lutz married in 1975. They each owned houses, but they wanted to buy a house together. Kathleen had been married before and had 3 children from that marriage, 2 boys and a girl, ages 9, 7, and 5. George and...
Okay. He just confirmed what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The 7-year-old was Daniel Lutz.
Daniel, yes.
And I knew he had to be about
7,
or
6.
8, somewhere around, 6 or 7, around there. So the doctor just confirmed that. Let's listen to him continue. By the way, Amelia, if you have any questions, let me know and I'll stop this anywhere you want.
Okay.
Kathleen moved into the Ocean Avenue house in December of 1975. They bought it for $80,000, which was considered a pretty good deal. They were advised that murders took place in that house, but that didn't bother them. The Lutz family was having serious financial problems. Specifically, George Lutz had a substantial amount of debt from a failing business.
Do you hear what he said?
Substantial amount of debt in a failing business, yeah.
Yeah, I said that Tuesday. So I want people to know I do my research. Okay? I do a lot of research on this show. Amelia does a lot of research. Yes. We have to, you understand something, folks? We have to legally get this right. Okay? We have to. Because there are people watching this show and people listening to this show. And we have to make sure that it's right. That all our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed, and we're doing justice to the story, that we're not embellishing, we're not making anything up. What you're hearing is our research confirmed by a licensed practicing psychiatrist, Dr. Timothy Todd Grande. Let us continue.
The couple had a Catholic priest come out to the house to bless it because of the whole murder thing. His name was Father Pecoraro. The book referred to him as Father. George claimed...
What did they call him in the book, Amelia? Father?
It was a different name. It was Father something, but it was another... It was not Pecoraro. It was like a different name. I can't remember what it is.
Do you know what it was? I know you do because you said it Tuesday.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
His name was Father Francisco.
Francisco, that's it. Yeah, it was like a different, like a Hispanic name.
I'll always save you, kid. Don't worry about it.
The antisocial that they was talking about before, personality that he had back then, could not diagnose anything like that.
No, and you're going to talk about that. Actually, the doctor's going to talk about this too. Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up. Let's listen to that because we could talk about it after the video.
Yeah,
that he saw Kathleen transform into an old woman, like not over time, but rapidly.
Now, did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
George Lutz watched his wife turn into an old lady before his very eyes. Okay? You want to talk about somebody who's got voices talking to his head. Holy shit. Maybe Ron DeFeo was the sane one here. Who the fuck knows? It's crazy stuff. Where did you hear what he says next?
A sculpted lion came to life and bit George almost.
You hear what he said?
Sculpted lion? Turret came
Please
into
repeat
life.
what he just said. So I make sure I heard what
A
I heard.
sculpted lion came into life and bit George.
Yeah. You know what he's talking about, right?
Yes. Like,
He's talking about the lion outside, that statue of a lion.
yeah, that one
He
that
said
they
that
have out in the
lion
front.
came to life and bit him. This is what we're talking about, okay? They later found out that he was completely full of shit and lied about everything.
Every morning at 3:15, the time when the murders were thought to have taken place,
Let's listen.
George Lutz would wake up, hear the children's beds slamming up and down on the floor, and be unable to move due to a mysterious, unknown force. During one morning episode, he said his wife was levitating.
Now, I have to stop here. He said he couldn't move because of an unknown force.
Mm-hmm. Like
Okay.
something was holding him stiff. Like,
Let me tell you something about the mind, how the mind works. There's something referred to as sleep paralysis.
yes, I've heard of that
I
before.
believe in my heart and in my gut and in my mind. I believe that George Lutz suffered from anxiety, depression, sleep disorders, big time sleep disorders. Because, and we know this factually because his son inherited his sleep disorder. Okay, Daniel. George Lutz, I believe in my heart, was dreaming this stuff in a twilight sleep. It's that area of sleep, and I've done extensive research. It's that area of sleep between sleep and awake. It's called, people call it a twilight sleep. They call it like a midnight sleep where you're like, you're up, but you're not. You're awake, but you're not. Yeah.
Or when you think of something right before you go to bed, you kind of like dream about it in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You know what they call that?
Yeah.
They call that a twilight sleep. Because you're still in the dozing off period.
Right.
That's what I believe. I believe that in my heart.
Yeah,
because what Dr. Grande is saying is confirming it.
Right. Because I could give him
Listen
an
to him.
apple.
And moving across the bed. Sometime around January 14, 1976, they moved out of the house, leaving everything behind. They never described the horrors that occurred during that final night of terror. I guess their imaginations ran out of gas. There were several problems.
Did you hear what he said? I love this guy. I love this guy. He's threw a little bit of sarcasm right in there. Their imaginations ran out of cash.
Yep. They couldn't think of nothing else to say.
Yeah. Well, they hadn't. What else are they going to milk?
Yeah.
They have nothing else to milk.
Couldn't come up with book 2.
Crap, wait a minute. Don't even get me. Amelia, you opened up the Pandora's box, kid. Don't even get me started on that one because I'm going to go there tonight.
With the Lutz's story. Let's take a look at a few of the problems. The priest said he had never been out to the house. He only talked on the phone with George and Kathleen, but other reports say that he did actually visit the house. The story in the book said that windows, doors, and locks were damaged, but the subsequent owners said that all of those items appeared to be original. The book said that there were hoof prints in the snow on January 1, 1976. This would have been challenging, as the weather records indicate there was no snow on the ground in Amityville.
First of all, where are you going to find a pig in Amityville, New York? Okay. First of all, right? Wait a minute.
Or a farm?
Let's listen again to what he said. Listen to this. I want you, please, folks. It's worth. It really is.
Oh my gosh! I'm sorry, but
worth listening to this because when you hear the doctor explain it, you realize just how fucking silly this whole thing sounds. Listen.
The priest said he had never been out to the house. He only talked on the phone with George and Kathleen, but other reports say that he did actually visit the house. The story in the book said that windows, doors, and locks were damaged, but the subsequent owners said that all of those items appeared to be original. The book said that there were hoof prints in the snow.
Here you go. The book said there were hoof prints in the snow. made by a pig. Okay? Listen.
On January 1, 1976, this would have been challenging as the weather records indicate there was no snow on the ground.
You're caught in another lie. There was no snow there. Do you know how easy it is to go back and check the weather?
Oh, yeah.
Even back then, without the internet. Even without the internet, you could check the weather so easily.
Oh, yes.
Because they had a little book, a little tiny book that still exists, by the way. It's called the Farmer's
Almanac. Yep.
Okay? It's been around for 150 years, and it ain't going nowhere.
In Amityville, New York, on that date. Nobody from the Lutz family ever called the police, yet in the book, it features them calling the police several times. There were claims that
Another lie. They never called the police, but the movie and the book had them calling the police. Let's continue, Doc.
The house was built on a Native American burial ground.
Lie.
This was simply not true.
Nope.
George Lutz tried to stick with his original story. He said that the events in the book were mostly true. Later, he would say that it was certainly not a hoax.
Did you hear what he said?
Mostly true.
Mostly true.
Mostly true.
Okay? Mostly true. Which means it's
Their
all
names,
bullshit.
Their names were the only things true in the book.
Yeah. It's like being a little bit pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not.
Yeah.
It's either true or it's not. Don't tell me it's mostly true. Because if you gave me 3 centimeters of truth and 97 centimeters of bullshit, well, guess what? It's bullshit.
Right?
Okay?
He did admit to making up some of the things in the book, though. For example, there was never any green slime. George and Kathleen.
Remember we talked about that? I said that.
Green slime, yeah.
I said that. That he claimed that there was ectoplasm coming out of the walls. What did I say Tuesday night about that, Amelia?
That is like the rarest thing to ever even happen.
It's the rarest psychic phenomenon ever.
Ever.
In the history of paranormal activity. The rarest thing you will find is ectoplasm because it just doesn't happen. It is extremely rare. Maybe once every 100 or 200 years, it might happen. You might be the lucky one. But not in my lifetime. I haven't seen it.
Oh, me.
Let's take a listen.
Divorced in 1988. Kathleen died in 2004 from emphysema. George would die in 2006 from heart disease. One of Kathleen's sons said the hauntings were real, but George also greatly exaggerated them for profit. Another son also agreed the hauntings were real. Subsequent owners of the home have reported no paranormal problems.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, nobody else has experienced any of this.
Nobody else. That one family who happens to be financially destitute and financially screwed and needs to find a way to make money real quick. They're the only family who just happens to have a spirit in the house and ghosts chasing them out. And priests coming in the middle of the night who never showed up, by the way.
It was just a phone call, or did he come out?
The priest lied too. I hate to say it, folks. Yeah, the priest lied. Imagine that, a priest who would lie. Please. Who'd have thought? Listen.
So with all this in mind, was the Amityville horror a hoax? I think it was. It was most likely perpetrated for money. This leads to the question, why do people believe in stories like this? It seems fairly clear this was a hoax, and one that was perpetrated quite easily. Many people were eager to believe in this fantastical story, which of course was presented without any supporting evidence and a substantial...
Listen to what he says, and you're going to hear a gem of a gold bar come out of this man's mouth. Listen to what he says.
Substantial amount of contradictory evidence. Well, there were a few things that initially bolstered the credibility of George and Kathleen Lutz. They did not have any connection to DeFeo. They simply selected that house because they liked it. It didn't appear to be any type of conspiracy. What are the chances that a couple who would fabricate a story like this would just happen to move into a house where murders occurred? Also, they moved out after 28 days and left all their stuff behind. Many people struggle to believe they would do that if nothing had happened. Their financial problems weren't widely advertised. If they were, it would have provoked a more skeptical reaction. And, sadly, people often believe what they see in books and movies. Those types of media contribute to the credibility of these types of stories, which seems kind of ridiculous. If somebody said something was true, people wouldn't believe them, but if they wrote it down, all of a sudden it must be true. First, let's briefly take a look.
Mm-hmm.
Tell everybody what he just said.
Yeah, if people tend to write it down, people are going to believe it more than anything.
If I say to you, Amelia,
mm-hmm.
guess what, Amelia?
Mm-hmm.
The moon outside is purple tonight.
I'm not going to believe it unless...
You're not going to believe it.
Mm-mm.
But if I say to you, now watch this.
Mm-hmm.
If I say, Amelia, I just got this newspaper and it says that the science has discovered that the moon is blue
Mm-hmm.
or purple. The moon is purple.
I said, let me
Okay?
see that. And I'm going to...
You want to see it, don't you?
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute.
If it's written down, you'll believe it, even though it's bullshit because the moon is not purple.
Exactly. I'm going to say, wait a minute. Who wrote that? And I'm going to believe it because it's the source.
That
Mm-hmm.
you said the magic words.
Mm-hmm.
You said the magic words. Who wrote that?
Yes.
That's the truth right there. Who wrote it?
Mm-hmm.
The truth lies in LIES. The truth lies in
Mm-hmm.
the credibility of the individual with the pen in their hand and the paper in front.
Exactly.
That's where the truth lies. Let me tell you where the lies were here. Everywhere. From the beginning to the end. From when George and Kathleen Lutz moved in to the time they moved out. There hasn't been one shred of truth from day one with the Lutz family. They were people that were not credible, who had a nefarious background, who could not hold on to money. Kathleen Lutz spent money like a drunk sailor. Okay? Her husband couldn't make enough money to keep up with her. They had more debt than you can imagine
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted to live a lifestyle that they simply were not cut out for.
Exactly.
Ron DeFeo Sr. was an industrial corporate giant. He made $500,000 a year in 1970. Do you understand what that is today? That's like $3 million.
That's what I was going to say.
$4
It's going to be
million
probably
now.
in the millions. Yes.
Yeah, it's like $3-4 million now.
Yeah.
That he was making $500,000 a year in 1970.
Mm-hmm.
Think, how long ago was that? 1970, 2022.
50, at least almost 50 years, at least 50 something years. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You get where I'm going with this over here?
And then electricity for that house. Imagine electricity back then for the whole house.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget. This house was located in a very wealthy neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew everybody. The Lutz family didn't know anyone and did not make an attempt to get to know anyone.
Right.
They were barely there long enough to know anyone.
Yeah.
Because 28 days later, they got their shit and moved the fuck out.
And then
why?
People, they didn't.
Why did they move out, Amelia? What did we say?
Because they couldn't afford it. They could not afford the mortgage. And
there's your ghost right there, folks.
Yeah. And the DeFeo family, weren't they socializing with everybody else around the whole neighborhood? The party
they
that
were
their
pillars
house
of the community.
Yeah,
oh my
they
God!
They socialized with everybody.
They were the pillars of the community. They were loved. They were adored. The DeFeo family were like, let's show it. Let me show something. I
That
got
they
to
would
do this.
socialize with other people, the other
I
families.
want to show somebody. Look, you just let me do this real quick.
Mhm.
I want people to see this.
Yeah.
Take a look. I want people to see what we're talking about here.
Look at that house.
That's the original house, right back
Look at the
there.
windows.
This is what I want people to see.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you are looking at, in that photo, everything belongs to the property 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York, Suffolk County, New York. What's in that picture, Amelia? Let's take a look.
Okay.
There's a guest house.
Yes.
Count them out, Amelia. There's a guest house.
1, 2, 3.
Hold on.
The guest house.
Well, a guest house. There's the main house.
Boathouse.
Hold on. Just hold on. Just bear with me.
Mhm.
There's a pool house, a guest
Uh-huh.
house, the main house, a 4-car garage,
Mm-hmm.
a boathouse, a boat slip,
Mm-hmm.
a courtyard,
Mm-hmm.
a tennis court, okay, and a fountain in the front.
Mhm.
You're looking at right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tell me if there's anything else I'm missing in that picture.
Let's see.
Beautifully manicured lawns and property.
No, and then of course each one had a road to each of the property.
And I want you to see the most important thing. Look at the house. The original windows are there.
Yes.
Which means this aerial photo was taken at the time of the murder.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's cobalt blue. It's the dark. We know it was cobalt blue, the dark house.
Mm-hmm.
There's the half moon windows. There are the other windows on the bottom. You see that room on the bottom there sticking out where the windows are?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the atrium now. What you saw with the
yes.
beautiful, that's what that is now. There's circle in the front there, in front of that. You see that little circle there?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's the fountain.
Oh, okay. That's where it would.
Okay, that's the fountain. Look at the boat. You can see the boat out there.
Mm-hmm.
The boat is in the boat slip. There's the boathouse. There's the guest house. There's the pool house. There's the courtyard. There's the 4-car garage, and there's the tennis court.
Mm-hmm.
The tennis court would be sitting basically right behind where those big cluster of trees are.
Oh, yes, I see it.
All of that property belongs to that house. That's what we're talking about. All right. That's why I want people to understand. This was a big place. You're going to tell me, if you're George Lutz, you're going to tell me that you're going to leave this. I don't know what his brain did to this man. Okay. But let me tell you something. You know, I could have thought of better stories to come up with than a ghost chased me out of the house.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
think about that.
If he couldn't afford to live there, they should have never moved in. Because that's what this all comes down to. They got into a house they couldn't afford. The Amityville story, ladies and gentlemen. I conclude the evidence before you. The Amityville story was a hoax. It is a hoax. There was never a ghost or spirit in the house at any time with Ron DeFeo Jr. or with George or Kathy Lutz or anyone else that's ever lived in the house. The Lutz family is the only family that had the balls to say that ghosts chased them out. The only ghost they had was an empty bank account.
Yes.
That was the only ghost that the Lutz family had, and spending way beyond their means.
And they had a nerve to
We've
Photoshop
all
a
done that, though. We've
picture.
all spent beyond our means, but
Oh, of
not
course.
that kind of money.
No.
Look, I've spent $200 or $300 more than I had,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not talking about hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars. That's crazy stuff. Or buying a house that that you knew you couldn't make it. They ran out of money. They stayed there for 28 days. Why? Because the mortgage was coming up. They couldn't pay
And
it.
the electricity bill was coming up.
And the electric and the telephone bill and the gas bill.
Yes.
And all of that stuff. Remember, they got the sewer bill. All of that stuff. You got to pay for all that stuff.
And the phone bill. Everything is going to be all different back then.
Yeah. Oh, Bell Tell, the old phone on the wall. Remember?
I just got, what made me more upset than anything is that they got a priest to lie. What was the priest going to get out of this?
The only thing I know for a fact that there was a priest there.
Yeah.
He came out at the request of the family. The Catholic Church will send a priest out to bless the property. What they'll do, they'll take holy water, they'll sprinkle it, they'll say prayers, they'll walk through the house and they'll pray over it, holy water. Sometimes they'll take salt, holy salt, because that represents like purity and stuff like that. They'll take a little salt and they'll throw it around outside to keep the evil away and all this shit, right? Okay. I know the priest came out with the holy water and blessed it, okay? And that's all we know. That's it.
Yeah, but they got him to change his
we only
story
know that they were there one time. Once. Okay? Not they didn't come out like the movie said, like they kept coming out.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church don't do that.
Yeah.
If they got to come out twice, they're bringing an exorcist with them.
They're bringing something with them.
Okay, no, I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible.
Let me tell you
something.
something.
Do that.
The Catholic Church uses exorcists. They are real. Okay? They're real. An exorcist is real. Okay? I know, because I know a couple of them. And that's all I'm allowed to say.
I just, how they could make something like this up just to earn money. Come on, people, get a regular job. They're out there. They were out there.
What did I say Tuesday night?
Yeah. Get a job. Get a job. They're out there. I mean, quit being such a person.
George Lutz was a grifter. Tell everybody what a grifter was.
Somebody that just goes from job to job and just makes a little money every 2 or 3 days. And
that's it.
And,
George went from job to job. He was he needed the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
He needed whatever money he could get because he couldn't make any money with his business. It was failing. It had already failed.
Yeah.
It was already failed.
And he didn't know what to do after that, basically, because that's all he knew how to do was that type of business that he had.
One thing that we never talked about was the wife, Kathleen Lutz. But I think she's as much to do with this as he does.
I think she was the brains.
They had to sit down, Amelia.
Yeah, I think she was the brains.
They had to sit down and talk. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yep. So that, my friend, concludes our two-part saga of the Amityville House of Horrors. It was not a house of horrors. It is not now a house of horrors. Never was, never will be. It's a house that a couple of people couldn't afford to buy.
Yep.
Or stay there anyway.
Yep.
They basically gave them the house. They gave
them the house as a gift, pretty much, I would think.
Pretty much, yeah. The bank said, you know what? We're going to help you get this house. The bank gave them a loan for $80,000.
Oh, yes.
And the real estate company took it.
Oh,
they took it.
Just like that.
They said, we'll give you $80,000. They said, we'll take it. They just wanted it bought. They just wanted somebody in there.
Yep.
Well, now, look at it now, all these years later.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it should just be made a historical landmark, but be bought by somebody.
I think somebody should buy it, make it a historical landmark, and I think they should do with Amityville like they did with Graceland.
Yes.
Okay. Make it a tourist attraction. Give tours.
Yes.
You look, it's a big fucking. You could make a fortune on that house.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
And guess what? It'll be a house that's loved and cared for again.
Yeah, I'll
That
tell you
house
what.
could be taken care of. That house is
Amelia
too beautiful
Pitbull
to go away.
Chapman. She's at it again.
I'm sorry, but I love the house. It needs to be taken
I
care
know.
of.
I know.
I'm
Well,
gonna.
look, talk to your husband and see how much money he's got sitting around.
Are you kidding? No, that house needs to be put up as a landmark. I mean, if I got that house, I would.
Hop a plane to New York. I'll meet you for pizza, and then
Right?
you.
I stay on the second floor.
Look,
I'm
here's
not
the
leaving the
thing.
second floor.
Here's the bottom line. Okay, it's a great story.
It is.
It's a great
It
story.
made a good horror
Okay.
movie, for
But
what it was.
it's not. Look, sadly, yeah, it's a. Did people? Yes, people died there. Sadly, they did.
It is. And
But the story, the house took on a life of its own.
it did.
It almost had no choice to after George Lutz opened up his mouth, and I mean, he created a legend out of nothing.
Yes.
And the Warren, Ed and Lorraine Warren,
They had
they
no choice.
cemented it in history.
Yeah.
But do you realize that without Ed and Lorraine Warren,
Mhm.
you and I are not talking about this story?
Exactly. They had no
realize that?
choice but to say what people wanted to hear, basically.
That's all they did.
Yeah. That's
Well,
all
I'll
they did.
tell you what. Tell everybody what's coming up.
Actually, yeah, the next week will be a Tuesday. We will be actually discussing, let's see, spiritual versus religion on the 20th
And
of December.
Pastor Steve will be here.
Yep.
Pastor Steve Kwiatkowski
Yeah,
will
and
be
on
here.
the 22nd, we will discuss a subject that people didn't really know how to bring it up, but we will bring it up because, like I said, we will leave no stone unturned. Was Jesus married to Mary Magdalene? What do you think?
Yeah, well,
about
I
that one?
mentioned that to Pastor Steve last night. He goes, "Oh, that's going to be tough." I
Well,
said, "Well, I'm going there." He goes,
we are, and we're gonna
"Okay."
open that door. That would leave that stone open.
I'm going to open that door and get my feet
Yep.
dirty.
That stone that's right there. I'm gonna see what's under that
All
stone,
kinds
and
of dirty.
Yep.
There, look, we need to talk about this, okay? We need to talk about the church a little bit and religion. Everybody who knows me knows I'm not a religious person.
Yep.
I am a spiritual person. Do I believe in God? Yes, I do. Do I believe Jesus died for our sins? Absolutely, I believe that. But we also need to understand that Jesus was a human being. If you believe the Bible says that God came down in the form of a man. Okay, I believe that. If he came down in the form of a man, then for him to be human and to be God, he has to experience what men experience, which means the love of a woman, physical attraction, sex. Yeah, I said it, sex. Okay. Jesus would have to experience all of that. You're not going to tell me, I don't care who you are, you're not going to tell me that Jesus did not have sex with someone. I don't believe that for a minute. If he was supposed to be man and experience the things that men experience, then he would have to have sex. I'm not being out. I'm not blasphemous. I'm not being out of line here. All right. We're talking. We're us. We're talking
Right.
here.
Exactly. I mean, and
so
when
we
they put
need
him
to
on the
be-
cross, he bled. When they put him on the
Yes.
cross.
When they hung him, he bled and he died. What happened afterward? That's a matter for a lot of speculation. Oh boy, because we're going to get our hands dirty with that one too.
Yep.
God's either going to love me for asking a lot of questions, or he's going to hate my guts. Either way, I think he don't like me anyway.
Well, I mean, he put us
But
on this earth.
no, I know how I know God loves me. because I'm still here.
Right. I mean, they put us on this earth to ask questions, and we wouldn't. They, he gave people to
Yep.
become doctors and lawyers and all kinds of stuff, and people
Our
like us to ask
name is
questions.
our dress. Our name is our dress. wwtfradio.podbean.com. We are What's the Buzz Popcast. Tonight we did bring you Amityville. The Amityville House of Horrors. That was our show tonight. I'm glad that you could stay with us and enjoy for a bit.
Yes.
Thank you for hanging out with Amelia and I.
Yes.
You can reach us at youtube.com/@what's-the-buzz-popcast. Watch our videos. Listen to our audio streams. What's the Buzz Popcast @gmail.com. That is our contact email. I am Angelo Mad Dog DeFeo. She is Amelia Pitbull Chapman, my able-bodied producer. We are What's the Buzz Popcast, on the road, in the car, where everywhere you are. And Wrestling with the Future Radio Network has brought you this program all year long. We are telling you this because we will be seeing you for just a little while longer, and then we're going to go away for a few weeks for Christmas, a couple of weeks anyway. 2 weeks for Christmas vacation.
After the after the show for the 22nd,
Yes,
we will be back
sure
on
will.
January 3rd.
So, for Amelia Pitbull Chapman, I am the Mad Dog, Angelo DeFeo. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Take care of each other and be in love and have love and spend love on me. I want you to spend money on me, you guys.
Right?
Spend money on me. All right, Nita. Yeah, Rocky come down to visit.
Aw.
Yeah, there's Rock. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah.